Welcome to my early impressions on Forza Horizon 6. I know I'm a bit late to the party here. I've spent most of May with my family and only came back a few days ago. Bought the game yesterday and played it for, well, the entire afternoon, the entire evening, half the night. I think it's safe to say I'm having a really good time with the game. But yeah, if you know me, you also know that I got opinions and I would like to share those in this video today. So yeah, we'll jump into that in a moment. However, I think it's worth starting with something else first. And that is my experience with the series and other racing games to get more where I'm coming from. I haven't played any Forza Horizon game except for the first one, really. Enjoyed that quite a lot. Had a really good time with it. And completely bounced off the second game. Never touched any Forza Horizon after. I am aware though that with about the third or fourth game in the series, the franchise found its groove, its formula. And from what I know, it's basically doing pretty much the same ever since. Just with a different setting, a few more things here and there, and also, of course, technical advancements, whatever. But yeah, the core of it has stayed the same for a while now. So the big difference here is I'm approaching the game from somebody who is not really familiar with the whole thing, whereas there is, of course, a massive community of people who have stuck with the series for quite a while. They know how everything works, they know what to expect, but usually that also comes with just accepting a few things without questioning that are really strange to people who just jump into it as their first game. When it comes to other racing games, well, I'm usually more of a simcade kind of guy, usually more playing stuff like Forza Motorsport. Played the first, second, third and fourth, and later also the seventh. Never really got into the latest game though, the 8th title. Well, I know how flawed Forza Motorsport 7 is, and I never felt they've done it justice with all the bugs and major issues that are still left in the game to this day. And therefore I always said I would only get the 8th one if it comes out in a really good state from the get-go, because it cannot guarantee that any of the bugs will be fixed at a later date. Well, it turns out that title was basically the death blow to the entire sub-series, so goodbye Forza Motorsport. Never got the last one. And I think I'm better off for that. And the other games, of course, some Gran Turismo back in the day. Grand Theft Auto 5, which is kind of important for some of the track building stuff you can do in this, because yeah, that has similar options here and there. And also stuff like Tokyo Extreme Racer, which I think is relevant because this is once again placed in Japan, and we even got a mini version of Tokyo over here. And the latest game that I stuck with for a few years was Motor Town. Really only worth mentioning here because, well, it's what brought me into this game. Motor Town is more of a vehicle sandbox simulation. Has some cars, has some tuning and all of that. There's some really cool stuff going on with that. And a lot of different jobs, from taxi, ambulance, police work, bus, and also a lot and lots of trucking. And yeah, the reason I'm playing this game now is because while Motor Town is amazing in its own right, it doesn't really scratch my itch for driving, doesn't have all that many cars and rarely ever gets a new one added, so at some point I just needed something with a bit more going on in terms of car roster. So yeah, that's what got me to this game. But yeah, since I'm more of a simcade guy, usually I don't 100% vibe with this one. I'm having a good time with it, that's out of the question, but it's not gonna be my favorite game, I don't think, for the next few years. It's It's definitely worth putting a lot of time in. It's definitely a lot of fun right now. But yeah, I'm usually more of a fan of lower grip handling, like what we have with Motortown. A lot of people don't like it that much in that game and have made suggestions to change that, but once I got used to it and knew how to handle the vehicles, it actually was quite a lot of fun. This, however, in contrast to that, is far more arcadey. Not anywhere near as arcadey as Grand Theft Auto 5, but certainly there's a lot of grip here, so you don't really have to worry too much about any of that. But yeah, the driving overall really enjoyable, even for somebody who likes more, a bit more simulation in the driving mechanics, but this still, it does some good stuff. Another thing that's really good in this game is the map. We have Japan, or at least a part of it, miniature version of Tokyo, including some expressway roads. I think I'll talk about that layout a bit more later down the line. I think that's worth giving its own video, especially with comparisons to something like Tokyo Extreme Racer, which of course has a pretty accurate recreation of Shuto Expressway in there. But yeah, besides the city, we have a lot of hills and mountains, some really curvy roads with lots of serpentines for toge or drifting, and yeah, also some plains, a lot of fields here and there, a lot of open areas, but even up to the northern end of the map we even have a snowy area, so there's a lot of variety here, and some really cool roads. With some of the past entries, I felt like the road design was maybe a bit too much focused on high speed. I like some technical corners here and there, and this feels a bit better for me in that regard. But there's still something that also kind of ties in with the handling model that I need to talk about, and that is how forgiving the entire thing is. I'm in a purebred race car here. I think I got slicks or semi-slicks on, and going off-road really doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't do anything to the car. I can do whatever I want here, and yeah, even in the foresty areas, the fastest way from A to B is in a straight line. I think the most extreme example that I have here must be this road. So let me quickly teleport over there. Fast travel is always welcome. But yeah, I think this is a bit silly. With past games it was more like across the open fields and everything, but this is now across everything. So if I want to go down there to the dirt road below me, well, I can take out a bit of a guardrail and basically jump down. I can also undo that by using the rewind button, which is quite nice. So yeah, don't have to do that. But I can also take the other path and keep at least some dirt under my wheels by just going into the forest and down the side of the cliff. Really my least favorite aspect of these games. Also, if I'm on the dirt road down below and wanna go back up, that's of course also possible, given that your vehicle has at least a bit of grip and some power. So I'm almost back up already, just like that. And yeah, once you get to a certain speed, which isn't all that high, I'm talking about maybe 50 kilometers per hour, you can easily cut through everything. It's not going to give you any resistance whatsoever. Some stuff slows it down a bit, but this is all just a bit too silly in my opinion. Another thing that I find silly, but that's the thing with both Motorsport and Horizon, It's just how many cars they dish out for you. There isn't really any progression. Progression in these games is dead. You may need to make some money to buy some of the more expensive ones, and that's something to work for, but you'll never have a garage where you really bought every car for yourself and only have what you really want. It's just gonna throw stuff at you left and right. So let me give you guys a more elaborate example to make clear what I mean here. When you start the game, you first get an intro, where you drive different vehicles across different categories. There's basically on-road racing in this game, off-road rally racing, and then cross-country if you completely disregard everything. I mean, usually the cross-country stuff doesn't go straight through trees or anything, but you get the idea. And yeah, to start out with, you get an intro where you borrow some cars and just drive a race in each of the categories. Sometimes jumping off cliffs, sometimes witnessing a space rocket start for some reason. I'm not really a fan of all the fancy stuff. I think that's a bit more distraction than anything else. But it's certainly quite something. But yeah, then you get into free roam and you get your starter car. Or more like 3 of them, because you get one for each category. All C-class, which, yeah, it's basically the same Forza power indication system that's been there from the first game. So that all works pretty well, but yeah, you start with 3 different starter cars and you just get to keep all of them. And then to really get started, you have to do a few races and other activities, and then you get the option to actually join the festival. That's when it really opens up and you get a bunch more racing activities unlocked, and also can start playing in the doing the season stuff, that kind of thing. And before I got to that point, before I even really officially joined the festival, I already unlocked this for GT, including getting enough money for all the upgrades and potentially doing the upgrades twice over or something. Because, yeah, there are some activities that allow you to find cars that you then can just keep. Some of them are barn finds. You may know them from the earlier games if you played those. Yeah, the game marks an area for you and you have to find a barn here. If you get that, there will be a vehicle inside for you, a more or less exciting one. And some vehicles are just parked around the map and the so-called treasure cars. And you just have to find them in accordance with the hint here with the picture that's been taken. And sometimes it also tells you the region, so it's not even all that difficult. And that's how I got the Ford GT. Upgraded it to S1 while everything else is still in C class. So, yeah, as I said, progression in this game is dead. I just wanted to make sure that I can break through that. I don't really even want to go there. So yeah, that's always been a bit of a gripe, but then again, there's still a lot of cars in the game and so much to work towards that some of it you will earn. But even before getting into the festival without even selling any cars, I got like 10% to one of the most expensive vehicles in the game. So money and vehicles is really not a problem. And maybe even far too lenient depending on your taste. Okay, moving on. Besides the whole racing part and the activities here, like finding stuff, you can also do speed traps, basically getting not tickets but yeah, points for going through one of the speed traps quickly enough. And there's a bunch of different types of races here. Also some tracks that are just on the map that you can visit and do some laps around. So there's some really fun stuff going on here if I only could find one. Again, I've been playing this game since yesterday. I don't fully know where everything is. And there was also drag strips and all of that around the map, so cool stuff to discover, cool stuff to do, and yeah, that kind of thing. However, from what I've seen, the game is also always online. I didn't really join a server or anything. There's just other people driving around here because that's just how free roam works. If you get too close to anybody, they will phase out. So there's no collision with anybody. You can't really interact with them like that. There's another player coming my way. Just like that. And there are also some collectibles. But the big thing is, since this is basically a live service game, it also has its own form of seasons. And the way I describe them is basically a season pass, but you don't have to purchase them. There's also paid DLC and that kind of thing, so don't get me wrong on that front. But yeah, there is basically the free tier of a season pass in the game as well. The reason I don't just say seasons is because from my understanding with certain other games, they do seasons very differently than what's being done in this game. But apart from there not being a requirement to buy anything, it's otherwise very consistent with how this game does the stuff compared to a lot of games that have a season or battle pass. And here it's called the Festival Playlist. So if you enter that, and yeah, the name playlist for me is already kind of confusing because I associate that more with a playlist of jobs that you can just do, or multiple races that are just being put in a list for people to enjoy. What you get here is basically your run-of-the-mill battle pass system. Again, without any purchase requirement. Over here on the left, the first thing is the rewards. Basically, you need to do activities to earn points, and once you get past the point threshold, you are automatically given a reward. And yeah, I still have like 19 hours left in order to get the CRX. Otherwise, it's goodbye that car. They're supposed to come back later again, but there isn't really any way to know how that's going to work. So, yeah. A bunch of different activities, anything from doing certain races to taking a picture under the Tokyo Tower or finding a treasure chest or something. Some of it is fun, some of it maybe not that much, and I don't really like these systems that much at all, because basically this is now dictating how much I should be playing if I want certain rewards. I don't want this stuff to just be thrown after me, but I also don't like when the game sets the schedule on how often I'm supposed to play it. It's good for some people because it gives them a reason to come back and another goal to shoot for. But when the activities are kinda lame, it's not all that amazing. And for me, it can easily turn into a treadmill, where I end up playing the game much longer than I initially wanted to. And yeah, once I take a break, I miss out on a bunch of stuff, and then I'm more likely to not even come back to begin with. So, yeah. I would like to actually take a break from some games at some point, and when they constantly have something going on that needs you to play multiple hours every week, it's just exhausting in my opinion. But yeah. This is the overall system. There's also some other stuff like longer running goals. Have about 2 weeks to do this. We'll likely need to go through multiple different weekly season stuff to get this done. And also some things that seem to take an exorbitant amount of time. But yeah, this is kind of a dark side of the game for me. Plus there's also already multiple DLCs for additional cars and all of that. Some cool things that I cannot access with just the base version. There's car pass and all of that. Honestly, as somebody who isn't that familiar with the series, seeing a chart of the different options that you, or the different items that you get with every single version, and then also having to decipher what the car pass actually is, what the premium membership is, what the other things are, and which ones you actually get with which version, it's fucking exhausting. I bought the basic version. I can upgrade in full, I can upgrade in part if I want to, or I can just not deal with it at all. And honestly, in terms of the amount of time I would spend in order to try figure out what I even want to begin with and which thing is what, I think I'm good just having the standard version right now. Oh yeah, there's also the missile launch site to the left over there. I wasn't kidding. That's just the place here. Don't know if they sometimes just send another missile out after the last one. That would be kind of hilarious. I can also drive right into the exhaust chutes apparently. This is very dangerous. I should not be here. But yeah, so much about those things. Let's go to the garage and talk about the tuning. Can maybe also take a look at the cars. So I need to select the garage, fast travel. And yeah, when it comes to the tuning and upgrades, it's basically the standard thing for Forza game by now. So nothing out of the ordinary. Compared to motorsport games, you of course don't get any purebred race cars. You can upgrade your car to look like a race car, but it's not gonna be any LMPs in here. Or Formula cars, whatever. But you get off-roaders, because, well, off-road racing is a thing. So a bit of give and take. Definitely gives more reason to buy a rally car or make your own one. Motorsport was always only about road racing, so... or circuit racing, on tarmac, whatever. But yeah, you can buy cars. I haven't really seen how to sell them yet. But yeah, there's a huge variety. I mean, some of them even look like race cars. Maybe some low-level racing cars might be available here. But there is a huge amount. And to be clear, the DLC cars are already in here. So if I find one, there's going to be a symbol. Like these ones, for example. They have the little download symbol. That means that I cannot have them right now. But yeah, even without them, there's a lot. I'm only at J. There's still a lot to go through the alphabet. Before anybody gets an epileptic shock, let's stop scrolling. And when it comes to the upgrades, I think I'm going to take a car that's a bit more customizable. We have a nice Toyota Supra right here. So if I go to tuning and upgrades, I mean, you get all the usual under the hood stuff. Turbochargers, different things to do with the engine, exhaust, intake, flywheel, whatever. Yeah, brakes, suspension, anti-roll bars, weight reduction, roll cages, and yeah, transmission stuff and other drivetrain options. Tire options, including rally and off-road tires. I think there's also snow tires. Different rims, making the wheels wider. But the thing I want to focus on right here are these two. So first up, of course, engine swap, drivetrain swap, aspiration swap, from turbo to compressor maybe, from naturally aspirated to turbocharger. Usually drivetrain swap is to all-wheel drive, and engine swap from similar engines. I don't know which ones each is here, but yeah. There are quite a few cool options, and some even come with body kits. So the thing is, depending on the body kit, this one really does a lot to the car. The only thing available right now is what's not being changed by the body kit, meaning spoiler options and the hood. If I take off the body kit, we will see that we get a few more options here. So at the very least, from what I've seen, most cars have an option for the stock front bumper and an adjustable spoiler lip with some canards over here. And then also a rear spoiler option, which is the new Forza arrow. Behold, I friggin' hate it. Old Forza arrow wasn't great, but the main difference that I can see right now is that the new one has the more modern style struts that come up from the trunk and go in front and over the spoiler before connecting to the top of it. The old ones simply come up from the bottom, just like this one over here. I never liked the look of these, so this isn't really wooing me in any sense. So, but yeah, that's the new one and that's available on most cars. But yeah, with a lot of cars you at least get some other aftermarket options. Some of them are even adjustable, so I went with this one just because... Oh no, I went with the other one. Dang it. Just because I like the look of these spoilers a bit more. I know for a fact that there's at least one other game that had a really cool spoiler option menu, and that is Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2. Tokyo Extreme Drift? The Tokyo Kaido or Kaido Racer series in Japan. And basically what they did was they had different options for the struts down below, including different height options. The actual spoiler blade could be multiple different things, like a straight one, a bent one, multi-piece, whatever. Have like that little thing that goes up in the middle for some reason. I think that's to give the driver a better view to the rear or something, not entirely sure. Different end blades and all of that. Cool thing. Available for a lot of cars. And Forza would be so much better if it had that as well. As it is right now, this thing is just... it's meh. No matter which one spoiler option they give us, if it's only one, it's gonna be a meh one. Variety would really be nice, and that would easily be a system that could be then used for future titles as well. Likely no more motorsport titles, because that seems to be over, but yeah, they really should be putting in the time to make something better here. But yeah, so much about the cars. I think I said everything here that's really necessary to say. Overall, I enjoy the variety. A lot of cars only seem to have some basic options, but there's also some outstanding ones. So some cool stuff that can be done, and yeah, of course you can also do the tuning. So I can go in here, change tire pressure, gear ratio, and all the other stuff. Also beefing up the aero quite a bit. So that's all pretty much the same as in any Forza title, and it's a really solid thing. Of course, there's also still the livery system, which... where the hell is that? Oh, designs and paints. So I can paint car, I can apply some vinyls and decals, etc. Also still the same as in a lot of the other titles. Getting a few updates here and there, but once again, really cool and solid system. Another thing I want to talk about today, and that's something I really don't enjoy, is Anna. Oh, you know what? First up, the whole story thing. As a festival racer, this game of course has a bit of a story, and honestly, like with any racing game, it's kind of forgettable and sometimes just as you sit for a few minutes through a really boring conversation, cutscene kind of deal. The thing that I'm really annoyed by though is Anna. If you look at the bottom left, there's a button I can press to get to Anna. And this is actually really useful. We get a drone mode, which I haven't tried yet.
Hey, you know you can see Japan in a whole new way? The drone can be used to explore from things from a different perspective.
Yeah, that was maybe one of the story characters. Some of the dialogue that sometimes pops up means that I cannot give any inputs, so I'm kind of stuck just listening to her before I can continue. Wasn't the case there. But yeah, anyways, the big thing here is the what's next feature, and I would like you to have a listen.
Okay, John, what's next?
You can choose between a bunch of names when you begin the game. You can also change that later down the line. And Anna is programmed to speak to you and call you whatever name you picked. First off, a good thing about this menu, by the way, is it gives you some available event options that you should really be considering to get some progress in. So this menu is really, really useful. But I get the creeps every time she calls me by my name. I just set it to John. My real name isn't John. But when I had it set to Alex, I freaking hated the guts of this system. And you really cannot turn it off. You can turn off the GPS voice, which doesn't remove these voice lines, even though it says GPS in brackets Anna. You can also disable Anna as a whole, but that only gets rid of the whole menu that I just opened to get into these other options here. But you cannot get her to simply shut up completely without maybe disabling all voice. You would still get the subtitles, and it would make a lot of the cutscenes even harder to sit through if the narration isn't there. But yeah, from this one I can also just go in and select this.
Okay, John, I have set your route to the dirt race event. Turn around when it is safe to do so.
So yeah, I don't know, the personalized voice lines from something that's basically a more fancy GPS voice is something I really don't enjoy. It feels creepy that this program is trying to be friendly to me in that way, in a personal way. So usually the thing that I do, and I think I need to get back to the house here. I just set it to a nickname. She usually calls me Chief. That's alright. That's tolerable. But yeah, I apparently cannot fully turn this off, and it's not good. So if I go to a character, go to my name, nicknames, and just I can also call myself Champ or something. That would be my dad's nickname in game, so that would be a bit weird. But yeah. Now it's a bit less annoying at least. Last thing I quickly want to talk about, and I'm going to try and keep this brief, is the Creative Hub, because I did a lot of track building in GTA Online, and therefore I'm naturally drawn to this like the moth to the flame. The system isn't bad, but it's hella weird. So first up, you need to start a new job or start editing an existing one. And when you load into the whole thing, it takes a moment. And then you can start your race route, whatever. Usually it starts you where you are in the world. Since I have a pre-existing race, it's just gonna get me to the starting line of that one. You can see the start line, previous and next is crossed out. For some reason, I managed to unbind the button that would give me get me to the next checkpoint. I can go back to the previous one all the time. But yeah, that isn't any direct prompt in the options menu that would tell me that I can rebind it. So I might have to reset all my bindings in order to get that one back. And the way the whole system works is just kind of weird. because what I need to do in order to place a checkpoint is go into the whole route editing, and basically what I'm driving right here, the blue line that appears, that is basically the racing line that the NPC drivers will follow. It's also visible for anybody who is joining the race and has the racing line on as a bit of a visual aid. And whenever I want to place a checkpoint, I just press a button and it puts it right where I am. Can move it around, can change the distance between the two endpoints, and then place it. But I cannot move it forward, backwards, rotate it. That's all determined by the position of my car and the angle of the ground surface. So the problem is, if I really want to place down the checkpoints precisely so that they are easily visible and all of that, I need to drive slowly. And if I drive slowly, instead of having like a smooth run through a corner, let's go to the next one and I'll show you what I mean. Instead of driving it like this here, taking the braking zone and going around like this, maybe doing it again because this wasn't amazing. If I drive really slowly to place my checkpoints, I might end up with something like this. I'm now turning, I'm driving straight, maybe placing a checkpoint right here because why not? And yeah, it's not gonna look great in most cases. When you drive like this, you really don't get a good feeling for where the racing line is. Especially not through some combination corners, so gotta be careful about that. This is actually quite a nice area, could make a really cool track here. But yeah, I would like this to be separated. I would like to first up set up my route with only the checkpoints. Maybe taking the map route from how I drive there, because it looks very different on the map if you stay in the middle of the road than if you round out all the corners with your racing line and all of that. Hairpins, tighter turns or something, they look very different if you do the out-in-out tactic. And therefore checkpoints, it would be nice to just go around the track slow and do that precisely. And then have another run where I need to hit all the checkpoints in order, where I go with regular racing speed or at least close to it, so that I get some nice and smooth corner lines put down, yeah. Of course, checkpoints is not the only thing here, so there's also the world builder that you can get into and just get into a prop library that has a lot of different ramps and road pieces and other stuff. So I can place down something like this. I can also copy it in case I maybe want to move two side by side. The problem is, from what I've seen, there is no coordinates and no snapping. So trying to align two pieces side by side in order to make them fully fit, I don't know if there are any tricks to it, but from what I've seen right now, it's gonna be at least a major pain in the ass, if not completely impossible, depending on how good you wanna make this. So yeah. From what I've heard, that's also been the case in the last few games, or at least in the last one, which had a major prop building aspect as well. And people managed to do some cool stuff regardless. So I don't know if there are some advanced tips that I would need to take care of, or would need to know, or if it's just experience. But as it is right now, from my perspective, coming from GTA, this is a really cool, potentially amazing, but in the current state, lackluster and painful system to deal with. And yeah, to be clear, there are a lot of props. I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but there are different platforms. We've seen some of the other stuff. Here we got some road pieces, also with different corner radii, even some banked ones over here, fences, etc. Some professional tech stuff, tents, grandstands and other things, trees and other decorations. You can also use that stuff for your garage list to customize them. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff, but you need also good options to place them, otherwise it's kind of a waste. Okay, now I need to follow certain things to even get out of here again. I don't want to save this. The thing is, making the route is only half of it. You can only share the whole thing if you put it into an event, and in the event you need to set things up like the class you want to raise, potentially also the power limit and all of that, and how many laps, etc. And from what I can tell, if somebody wants to host the race but do 3 laps instead of 2, they would have to come to me, who created the event, and then ask if I make another one with the same track but set the laps to 3. Oh yeah, last thing that I didn't really mention beforehand, or at least not make it clear so far. One thing I really like here is that the car divisions don't come with their own power limit like in Forza Motorsport 7. Instead you have some stuff like hot hatch, K-car, also some general vehicle categories, and the power limit is separate from that. That means you can have a K-car race at C class, B class, A class, S class if you are suicidal. I got an S class of a K-car, of course, it's insane. Gets up to 300 kilometers per hour and yeah, cuts through the trees like a knife through butter. Usually it would be the other way around. The tree would cut through the car and not the car through the tree. But yeah. Those are my minor gripes with the stuff. But yeah, there's also a lot of cool stuff going on. So overall, looking forward to exploring the game quite a bit more. And with that, I can only say thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Keep in mind this is all the perspective from somebody who hasn't played any of the recent previous titles, so a lot of it isn't really that clear for me from the get-go. Some of it I feel is a bit confusing and should be a bit better communicated from the devs or publisher, whatever. But yeah, overall it's just my silly opinion at the end of the day. So yeah. With that all being said, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. As always, have a good one, and bye bye.